Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too, because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we're choosing to live. What I'm discussing in this video is how to create a positive flow in your home. I think so many people don't realize that a lot of our manifestation journey is based on where we are residing most of the time in our lives, right? I spend a lot of time in the home because I just enjoy being at home. It's one of my favorite things. And I do go out several times a day, but I'm one of the people that leave in and out. They're like, what is she doing? If neighbors were paying attention. And I'll go run little errands and come right back. But I'm always grateful to walk through the threshold of my own home. And some of those reasons are because I've created such a positive flow in the house that even visitors or people that wouldn't match that same vibe, I'll call it, it doesn't even create a welcoming environment for that. Put it that way. So I do many ways, right? I'll talk about some main ways that I use in order to declutter my space. In order to add a positive flow to my space. And that's one of the first things is declutter. One of the things that I've noticed with a lot of people who don't experience the positive flow in their homes and are kind of frustrated, because there's nothing worse than being in your own home and feeling like tight and frustrated and like you don't even want to be in there because it's your home. It's like your home base. It's like your space to be free and to be yourself and to relax. And if there's no space for that, then you really have some trouble when it comes to clearing your mind and just like having a peaceful overall day, right? Sometimes people say they'd rather sit in their cars than sit in their homes because that's how cluttered their homes are. Find a way to declutter. I'm a person that's moved a couple of times in the past few years, but I was in the first house I was in for about 10 years. When I was leaving from that situation, when I was, selling that house and moving on, I had a lot of stuff to get rid of. I had garage sales. I brought stuff to the Goodwill. It was a thing of going toys, children's books. It just was a process of constantly, culling back everything that we had until I got to a place where I'm like, this is enough. And then living in a much smaller space, we didn't even have the room for the stuff at the time. And then from there, moving to another city after that, that really changed the amount of things. And you'd be surprised how quickly things accumulate again. And moving into a townhome at the time, and it was more space, and I brought in even more stuff. And so we had to declutter once again. And one of those things that I learned in that time is like, now I don't bring the stuff in anymore. Now, when I order something offline and it doesn't work for me, or it's an item that doesn't fit in my house, I have no problem with going and bring it back with Amazon. I don't think of, maybe that's somebody I want to give this to. If they're right there in the vicinity, they can have it. But if they're not, then that dress is going to the Goodwill. I don't keep that stuff anymore to like give off, because I find is other people have too much stuff too. We all have a lot of stuff. And sometimes we just don't need more stuff. So decluttering and organizing your house is a huge one, right? And I find that if you declutter, you don't even have to be a hardcore organizer. You can just be a declutter person and the organization will happen on its own. I incorporate a lot of natural elements in my home. That's something that I do. As you can see, I'm a plant person. I love plants. I don't know, indoor plants just do something for me. They like lift my spirits. If one is starting to die, I get really sad, like as if it's a pet that I couldn't keep alive. It's one of those things of like, I'm always trying to figure out what's wrong with it. I'll repot it. I'll change the soil. I'll read up on it. Like, what's the best way to bring it back to life? It's like, it's hard for me to let a plant go. It's because it adds so much energy and joy to my home. That's not even saying just the oxygen people talk about all the time, but just the joy that it brings me. I'm always a person with fresh flowers in the home because I like flowers and colors and stuff like that. I have some orange roses right now. They're just about past their expiration date, but not quite. I was going to replace them yesterday and I'm like, no, they got a couple more days, because if you know roses, they even look pretty as they're dying. So not when they start to do like this. Some people like them like that, but when the edges of them are just getting brown and they're like ombre roses, they're still very pretty. And I keep fresh flowers in the house no matter what. That's always something I loved and enjoy doing. I keep plants in the windowsill. I'm really big on natural elements. So like wood, I like a lot of, wood and basic wood things and like wood items. So like you'll see in my home, like, wooden coffee table, wooden artifacts, things like that, wooden chairs. I love like natural elements like that. And then a big thing also too is what is it? Stone. A lot of people think stone is masculine, but I also think it's one of those things that adds a certain vibe to your home. It creates a positive energy flow, right? Something else that I've been doing lately that I just kind of caught on to is using soft and inviting light. Sometimes when you live in places where they have a lot of recessed lighting, and they don't have dimmers on the recessed lighting, it can turn into where you either have it bright or not, right? So I have lamps. And so when I have lamps around, sometimes it's almost too dark in some spaces and sometimes it's not light enough in other places. And I just finished saying I'm about to buy another lamp to complement this other one because I want the light to be even yellow, even, the same even softness throughout, especially in the evenings, right? And it just adds a different mood to the space. It makes me feel easy and relaxed in the evenings, especially when it's time to wind down and go to bed. I don't have these big bright lights above my head. I don't have it almost looking really dark in the space. Having it at that perfect level that works for me is really, really nice. So it's like dim, but not too dim. I need to be able to read a book in the light at the same time. And that's mostly in the evenings, right? Another thing that we can do, and also to add a positive flow to our homes, is to balance everything out using feng shui. I feel like I'm pronouncing that right because I heard years ago somebody was saying it was feng shui, but I don't really know. I feel like it's feng shui. And I think everybody knows what that is. And so we've heard it before, if anything. It's definitely one of those things to where you have the furniture set up in a flow to where you're not blocking anything, like blocking windows, blocking doorways, where you don't have furniture, the backs of furniture facing to you. Now, this is just if you can do that. I've always been a person who hated like floating furniture that when you walk into a door, you see the back of people's heads sitting on a couch watching TV. And I know sometimes we're in spaces where we can't avoid that because it's either windows on this side and it's either a door on this side. So you got to make the best of it. But if you can avoid it, it's always good to have the furniture set up in a way that it flows so that you can walk through and you can carry on your business and life without having to walk around this or walk around that, or without having to constantly fix a sofa that's kind of floating in the middle of the floor, or people are bumping into it or something like that. That's one of the things that is one of my favorite things to do. So just about every place in my environment, my home and all that, you can walk through freely and flow through without having to worry about obstruction of things sticking out, or like furniture that's too big for the space, or a table or something that's sticking out. And just recently I was like, I need to get a dining room table because it's not something that I have. I have a table, but it's not a dining room table that's kind of like nice that can accommodate people, right? And one of the things I was looking at was the space. And while I wanted a really big round table, I don't have the space to accommodate that in a more of a feng shui type space. I want it to be easy to walk around. So I've been looking at now slimmer rectangular style tables. And what's so funny is that the one I have my eye on, when I walked past my vision board this morning, I noticed that exact table was on the vision board. So it's kind of funny that I spent all that time in the space of worrying about, there's a bug. Worrying about whether or not a round table would fit. And at the end of the day, I still had a rectangular vision board, one on my vision board. So it just keeps the ease and effortlessness in the space, right? I add a few personal touches, but I'm not big on a whole bunch of stuff. But I think a few personal touches are great. Just like items that mean something to you. It makes you feel good about the space. It makes you feel positive. There are things that I see on a regular basis and I smile at the item. My daughters, when they were younger, when they had less access to be able to go get me gifts for my birthday and stuff like that, they walked to the CVS after school and they went and got this little, just a little bird. And I don't know, I call him Mr. Freckles because I used to make names for everything that they bought in the house. And it sits on my windowsill now. And it's so cute. Every time I look at it, I go, yeah, Mr. Freckles. And it just reminds me of their efforts to try to do something nice for me on my birthday. And it was because normally they were able to go through adults, but there was no adults around to help them with it. And so it was very nice to see them take that upon themselves. And it's just something cute I like to look at. And more recently, I got a beautiful little bonsai crystal tree. Is like a tree of life, but bonsai that they picked out for me. They went to the mall one day and it's so nice. I just like looking at it. It's in the windowsill. So I don't have many personal, like a whole bunch of little trinkets and knickknacks sitting around. But when it comes to things like that mean something to me, I think those things create a positive flow in your home. Using aromatherapy is something I always have done, but I've really latched on to it more recently. I have a diffuser in the bathrooms in the home. So they have like a 36-hour cycle. They kind of like spew, and you've seen diffusers, they work really good. They work best in more closed spaces, I find, unless it's a bigger diffuser. I also have what I've latched on to lately is candle warmers, because I was burning candles at first, but I noticed they were leaving like soot on things in the house. And I think people talk about that before, and then like what they release into the air. The funny thing about candle warmers is that they keep your house smelling good a lot longer. Like the candle will smell good way longer than if you burned it for like the 72 hours straight that it'll probably last. Like I have the same candles that I've been using and like burning on a regular basis for like more than 2 weeks now. So you'll get a lot more use. Then the best thing about it is when the smell is gone, all you have to do is take it and go store it, and it can be a candle used for like light later or for like ambiance later at a different time if you want to do that, right? But I don't suggest burning candles on a regular basis. They add something, the smoke to the room. It kind of, it adds like a layer of a fog to your stuff. And I was seeing it on things, and I was wiping my fingers and seeing it on things. And even if I well ventilated with the fan on and the windows open, it still was leaving that deposit behind. So just using aromatherapy in that way. And my daughters know I'm really big on smells, so they kind of hate it sometimes that it always smells like something in the house. They don't hate it. They hate that I'm always asking about it. They're like, I'm like, do you smell this? Do you smell that? They're like, we don't smell it as much as you do. In the front door, I have a candle warmer. When you come in, I'm like, I love walking into the smell of vanilla or whatever I have down there. And it's really for me. I love it walking into that space, because nothing like walking in your home and it smells good when you walk into your home. So something that also creates positive flow is making sure you have good air quality. Something that I do make sure that I need to do now is like changing air filters, because that's really big. And then I also opening a window and cracking the window ever so often, even if you don't like windows open in your home. If you can, just crack it open for like 15 to 20 minutes. It creates a positive airflow in your house. So especially if you have that ability to open one on this side and then open one on the other side, and then you can get that flow back and forth, it's really nice for creating a positive energy. Even if it's only for a few minutes, it's a really nice thing. And also inviting positive sounds in your space. And that's kind of the last one that I had on this list. I use singing bowl meditations. I have them on the TV a lot. My daughter we were sitting there the other day, and they were telling me about their school day and like how everything went. And she was like, you know what, just having that singing bowl on for like the past 5 minutes, she was like, it already shifted my mood, because it's in the background and it's nice. And I mentioned this before, I've been sleeping with it. Like, you know, I do the 10-hour one, and I just put it on the little JBL speaker, and I put it on low. And when I wake up in the morning and it's still playing, it's very nice. And I will say this, I've been having very nice, vivid, lucid dreams that don't make me tired in the morning. And like dreams, I'm like, oh, that was fun. That was nice. And I can remember them a lot with the singing bowls, as opposed to either letting a TV play or something like that till it goes off, or either just trying to fall asleep with nothing going on at all. So I think having like singing bowls in the background, back in the day, I used to always have lo-fi playing, like, you know, the raw and unfiltered, you know, version of music. So low fidelity music. I used to have that playing, you know, and it has like all of the mistakes in the music in it. So that's why they call it lo-fi. I used to have that playing in the background all the time when my girls are young, because I like the sounds of like hip hop music and stuff like that, but I didn't want them to get any of the lyrics or most of what was being said in a lot of music. So I would play this all the time, and it would create such a calmness in the house. So just adding something like a, you know, a sound element to your home. Songs without lyrics, wonderful. Music without lyrics, audio, wonderful, right? For that. Anyway, I hope these tips help you when it comes to how to create a more positive flow in your home. I think we all should be able to come home or live in a space where there's ease and effortlessness. Even if you don't have a whole entire home, maybe it's just a room, find a way to make that room right. I remember when I was first going through divorce, and all I had was a room with my 2 girls and a family member's home. And I made the best of that room. When I tell you, I was just telling my daughters the other day how I cleaned it, you know, religiously, how I always made sure the bed was made, even though everything on the bed was mismatched and nothing matched. I didn't have anything, and that was perfectly okay. And I always make sure our shoes and clothes were all lined up neat. I made sure it smelled good, because it was so important to me, no matter where I'm at or no matter what I'm doing, that I create that positive environment, that positive flow. Because when you can rest and relax in your own home and feel good, then you can create. You can get in a space where you can come up with the ideas that'll bring you closer to those manifestations that you truly want to experience. And then other people are like coming to visit you too. They'll come in your house and be like, it's so peaceful in here, so nice. People have said that to me so many times. It's like, it's almost too peaceful. And I'm like, it's nice, isn't it? Right? Because I intentionally cultivate that space and I enjoy it on a regular basis. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.